Now that we've been talking about how strength and balance don't disappear overnight, they fade quietly when the body stops getting the right signals, you might be thinking, okay, where do I start if I want to feel steadier? If you live in insert region, you probably know this exact moment, getting up from a low couch and feeling a little wobbly for the first few steps, or standing at the sink a little too long, and you notice your body starts leaning into the counter, not because you're lazy, because your system is trying to stay steady. Here's what's happening inside. When the glutes go quiet, the body looks for support somewhere else, often the knees or the lower back or the countertop. And this is the part most people miss. It's not always weak legs. Very often, it's quiet glutes, the muscles in the back of the hips that act like your body's balance engine. That shows up when you step off a curb, when you turn too quickly, when you climb stairs, or when you stand up and your body needs a split second to catch itself. Your glutes don't just help you look strong, they help stabilize the pelvis, control side-to-side sway, and keep your steps steady, especially after 50. Now here's the good news. You don't need to start with hard workouts, and you don't need to aggravate your knees or your back trying to train balance. In fact, one of the smartest ways many seniors rebuild strength and balance is seated, because seated training lets you focus on the right muscles without fear, without strain, and without wobbling. When you train seated, you can wake up the glutes safely, and when the glutes wake up, the body stops borrowing stability from the knees and the back. Today, I'm going to show you 3 seated glute moves that help rebuild balance and strength, plus one tiny habit that makes the results stick, even if you only have a few minutes a day. These are simple, but they're not easy. They're targeted, and they're designed for real life, getting up, walking steadier, feeling safer on stairs and curbs. And once you see what happens when the glutes go quiet, you'll understand why these seated moves can change balance faster than you think. So let's look inside and make it crystal clear what's going on.
Now that you've seen how quiet glutes can make everyday moments feel shaky, getting up, stepping off a curb, turning in the kitchen, let's look at what's actually happening inside your body. Because balance isn't just about your feet. Balance is a team effort. Your feet, your hips, and your core working together. And the glutes are a big part of that team. When those hip muscles aren't firing well, the body gets cautious. You take shorter steps. You hesitate. You reach for support, not because you're weak, but because your body wants to feel safe. Here's the chain reaction we see all the time after 50. First, more sitting. Then the glutes start to forget to turn on at the right time. You might notice you use your hands more to stand, or you push off the chair. That's a common sign the hips and glutes aren't providing enough drive. Next, the hips get stiff. When the hips don't move freely, your stride naturally shortens. Shorter stride often means less stability because the body loses its smooth rhythm. Think of balance like a tripod. One leg is your feet and ankles, the second is your hips, especially the glutes, and the third is your core, which keeps you steady through the middle. If one leg of the tripod gets weak, the whole system wobbles. When the glutes are quiet, the knees often try to compensate. The knee may drift inward a little, the lower back may tighten, and over time that compensation can create discomfort, especially during stairs, standing, and walking. That's why stairs can start to feel tougher, not just because the legs are tired, but because the hips aren't stabilizing the pelvis the way they used to. The glutes, especially the side glutes, help control side-to-side sway. When they're not firing well, balance becomes reactive instead of steady. You're constantly catching yourself instead of moving smoothly. And this is important. This doesn't mean you're fragile. It means your body is using backup strategies. The good news is we can retrain those strategies. That's why we use a simple 3-layer approach. First, a wake-up signal to turn the glutes back on. Second, build strength in the exact seated posture you can do safely. Third, a control pattern that teaches your hips to resist that wobble. So first, we're going to turn the glutes back on. without standing, without strain, and without needing a gym.
Now that you understand the chain reaction, more sitting, glutes forget, hips get stiff, and balance becomes reactive, let's do the first layer, a simple wake-up signal that turns the glutes back on. Grab a firm chair, something stable. Sit near the front edge. Place your feet flat, about hip-width apart. This should feel safe and supported. We're aiming for the muscles in the back of the hips, the glutes, not the lower back. And we're using low effort on purpose. This is about control, not intensity. Sit tall, like a string is lifting the top of your head. Soften your ribs. Now take a slow breath in, and as you breathe out, gently squeeze both glutes. Think gentle squeeze, not hard clench. Hold it for just a couple seconds, then fully relax. That relax part is important because it teaches the muscle to turn on and off smoothly. Inside, this is what we want: glutes lighting up and the lower back no longer needing to brace as much. When the glutes take their job back, the spine often feels less tense. Common mistake: people squeeze and arch the back. We don't want that. Keep the spine calm. The movement is in the hips, not by pushing your chest forward. If you feel it in the lower back, lighten the squeeze and grow taller through your spine. You should feel the work in the back of the hips, not in your waist. Let's do a few gentle rounds. Squeeze as you breathe out, hold 2 to 3 seconds, relax 2 to 3 seconds. Slow, steady, controlled. If you're not sure you feel it, here's a helpful trick. Place your hands on the glutes to feel them tighten, or sit on a small folded towel right under the sit bones so you can sense the engagement more clearly. That tiny feedback can make a big difference. You're teaching your nervous system to find the right muscle again, something it may not have done in a long time. And notice, we're not chasing fatigue, we're building a clean signal. Glutes on, glutes off. That clean signal is what makes balance feel steadier. Now let's do a quick test. Stand up one time the way you normally do. Pay attention. Do you feel more steady? Do you feel less wobble in the hips? Great. Now do a few more gentle squeezes with the breath, just like we practiced, and then stand up one more time. You're looking for smoother, more confident movement. Many people notice it right here. Standing feels a little more organized. Not perfect, just steadier. That's your glutes starting to show up for the job again. And when the glutes contribute, the knees don't have to collapse inward as much, and the back doesn't have to brace as hard. That's the beginning of better balance. This is layer 1. You've turned the glutes back on. Now we build real strength, still seated, so the hips don't wobble when life gets busy. Next, we'll add a simple seated strength move that teaches your hips to stay steady, without standing, without strain, and without needing a gym.
Now that you've felt the glutes turn on, and you even tested it by standing a little smoother, we're ready for the next layer, building real strength, still seated, so your hips stay steady when life gets busy. For this move, if you have a small band, place it just above your knees. If you don't have a band, don't worry, I'll show you an option in a moment. We're targeting the side glutes, often called the glute medius. These muscles are a huge part of balance because they keep the pelvis from wobbling side to side when you walk and turn. Sit tall, feet flat. Think heavy feet, tall spine. Keep your ribs soft so you're not arching your back. The movement comes from the hips, not from rocking your body. Now gently press your knees outward, just a few inches. Hold, and come back slowly. This is not a big motion. We want steady control. Inside, you should see the side glutes light up as the knees press outward, while the lower back stays quiet. That's exactly the pattern we want. Common mistake, people lean side to side or rock back to cheat the movement. Instead, keep your torso still. Let the hips do the work. If you catch yourself rocking, make the movement smaller. Smaller with good control beats bigger with poor form every single time. This is why it matters. When side glutes are weak, the knee tends to drift inward during standing and walking. Stronger side glutes help the knee track better, often reducing strain over time. Try this rhythm. Press out, hold for about 3 seconds, then return slowly for 3 seconds. Smooth, controlled. Breathe the whole time. Exhale as you press, inhale as you come back. That keeps your core engaged gently and prevents your back from bracing. No band? Place your hands on the outside of your thighs and gently press your knees into your hands. Same idea. Side glutes wake up and strengthen in that seated posture. And if outward pressing bothers your hips, try a gentler version first. Lightly squeeze a pillow between your knees for a few breaths, then come back to the outward press when you're ready. As these side glutes get stronger, you're training the exact skill balance needs most, the ability to keep the pelvis steady while the legs move. That's what makes walking feel smoother and turns feel safer. Many people notice a difference within days, not because the body is suddenly strong, but because the hips are finally doing their stabilizing job again. Want to progress safely? Keep your back tall and lean forward just a little, like you're about to stand, then do the same outward press. That adds challenge without adding strain. Notice how the hips work harder, but the spine stays calm. That's the sweet spot. More hip strength, less back compensation. Now that you've built strength in the seated position, we're ready for the final layer, control. The move that teaches your hips to resist wobbling when one foot lifts and the body has to stay steady.
Now that you've built strength in the seated position, those side glutes doing their stabilizing job, we're ready for the final layer, control. This is what turns strength into steadier balance in real life. Because balance isn't only about how strong you are. It's about whether your hips can stay steady when one leg moves without the pelvis wobbling side to side. This move is called the seated march. Stay seated, sit tall, and if you want extra support, hold the sides of the chair. That's perfectly fine. Before we start, set your posture. Think tall spine, shoulders relaxed, ribs soft, so you're not arching your back. Your goal is steady hips, calm breathing. Now, lift one foot just slightly as if you're marching in place, then lower it slowly. Alternate sides. Small lift, smooth control. Inside the body, this is what we want. As one foot lifts, the side glute on the other side helps keep the pelvis level so you don't sway or tip. Watch for 3 things: no rocking back, no leaning side to side, and steady breathing. If you feel yourself swaying, that's just feedback. Make the lift smaller. Smaller is better at first. This is balance training, not a knee workout. We're teaching the hips to stabilize while the legs move. If you feel it in your lower back, reset your ribs, soften them down, and sit taller. The work should feel like steady hips and gentle core support, not back strain. Progression is simple. Start with hands on the chair. Then, when you're steady, try hands-free for a few marches. The goal is control, confidence, calm. Even 2 or 3 clean reps hands-free is a win. You're training the exact moment that often feels wobbly in real life when weight shifts and one foot lifts. This is the bridge to better walking. When your hips can stay level here, your steps tend to feel smoother out there, especially during turns, curbs, and quick direction changes. That's what we're building. Not just stronger muscles, but a steadier system, so you move through your day with less catching, less bracing, and more confidence. Now, here's how you make all of this stick. A simple habit called the chair check-in. 2 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. Consistency beats intensity. It's 4 short pieces: 30 seconds glute squeeze, 30 seconds band press, 30 seconds seated march, and 30 seconds tall posture breathing. That's it. This quick routine reminds your body multiple times a day, use the hips, stay steady. And over time, your balance becomes less reactive, more naturally stable. If you do this most days, you don't need to overdo it. You're building a reliable signal, little by little, that adds up in a big way. Now, let's tie it all together into a simple weekly plan and how to know you're doing it safely. Now that you have that simple chair check-in, 2 minutes, a few times a day, This is the moment where everything starts to feel more doable because you're not guessing anymore. You have a system. And you've rebuilt it in the right order. The glutes wake up. Then they get stronger. Then they learn control. So your balance becomes steadier, not just caught at the last second. That's the win we're after. Standing up feels more organized, less hesitation, less bracing, more confidence in the first few steps. Just to recap the story, we turned the glutes back on with the seated squeeze and breath. We strengthened the side hips with the seated press, and we trained control with the seated march so the pelvis stays steady when one foot moves. And that's exactly where you'll notice it. Turning in the kitchen, stepping off a curb, climbing a stair, getting out of a chair. Those everyday moments that used to feel wobbly. You're rebuilding the balanced tripod, feet, hips, and core, so the hips stop being the weak link. That's why these seated moves can have such a big payoff. Here's your simple 7-day starter plan, 5 to 8 minutes a day. That's it. Do the 3 moves once through and add the chair check-in if you can, 2 to 3 times a day. Don't chase perfection, chase consistency. Even a short, steady routine done most days works better than a long routine you quit after 2 days. Track 3 things this week: how easy it feels to stand up, how steady you feel when you turn, and how confident you feel at curbs or stairs. Those are the real markers of progress. If those feel even a little better, that's not luck. That's your hips learning their job again. Stability first, then strength, then control. Quick safety note: stop if you feel sharp pain, dizziness, or any new numbness or weakness. And if symptoms persist, worsen, or worry you, check in with your clinician. Your safety comes first. But if this feels like normal effort, gentle work in the hips, steady breathing, you're on the right track. Remember, you're not fragile, you're rebuilding. And when your hips get steadier, your whole day can feel steadier. Less fear of wobbling, more trust in your steps. Keep it simple. Wake up the glutes, strengthen them, train control, and check in a few times a day. That's a powerful formula. Next, I'll guide you through these 3 seated moves in real time so you can follow along safely at home. Let's build steadier steps, one calm, consistent day at a time.